Yeah, I have had long hair.
Yeah, you had long hair and I had short hair. Now you have short hair and I have longer hair.
And they're both getting a little lighter.
Hey, did you? Mine is crazy. Mine is crazy. I look like a witch. I have so many crazy grays. Did you get a cut? You got a haircut for the podcast, right? And had your makeup done?
100%
Yeah.
yesterday.
Yeah, looking sharp. Looking sharp.
Thanks, man.
You are in what city?
I'm in Vancouver, Washington this morning.
And that's right over the border, right?
Right over the border from Portland.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah,
Yeah,
from that
yeah,
country.
yeah, yeah.
Hey,
Still America.
yeah, that's that's the home for street parking too.
Yeah,
Do you ever see those guys
occasionally, not super often, but once in a while.
like at Whole Foods or like working out or
No, more like at
community stuff or
yeah, community events type of thing. Yeah.
like exercise community?
Yeah, like we host a competition every year, and they usually have some folks that come down or some mutual friends, and so they usually show up and hang out a little bit.
Do you know Miranda from back in the day?
I know her. I don't know her super well. Know her from competing. I know she was on a team while I was on a team as well. Um, but yeah, don't know her super well.
Okay. What was in what year did you find CrossFit, Adam?
Dude, 2005.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's wild. I'm about to actually, me and my
Crazy.
buddy Colin are December 5th of this year will be our 20 years of our first CrossFit workout together.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Is he in Vancouver, Washington?
Yeah, man, he's coaching 6 a.m. class, or I guess 7 a.m.
Oh,
class right now.
you're still together as homies.
Yeah, dude. We've been either college roommates, we fought fire together, started CrossFit together, I mean, work at the gym together. We've been either roommates or working together for 20, what is that, 23, 24 years? Yeah,
How old are you now?
41.
Wow. Wow, since you turned 21.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
pretty much. Half my
crazy.
life, man.
Hey, what did you do before Adam, what did you do before CrossFit for body movement, sport, fitness?
Football was like my main thing before that, and then right after the end of that is when I found CrossFit.
Let's try to keep kids in their underwear out of this shot. Say
Hey,
that again.
I got a couple running around too. Hopefully not in their underwear this morning. We'll
uh,
see.
say that again. Football and what?
Yeah, football. That was my main thing that I did before CrossFit, and kind of led me into CrossFit actually.
And what position did you play?
I played outside linebacker.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's the defensive guy that hits people.
Yeah, pretty much. Try to tackle people.
And then I'm sure we've been over this a million times. Entertain me more, please. But and then how did you come across CrossFit? Did you find it or did your buddy Colin find it?
My brother actually found .com. My brother Jake is kind of just a lack of a better word. He's a nerd. He loves to just like deep dive and research stuff. He ran across CrossFit .com right around that time. I'd been playing football and going to the weight room for 4 years, but I didn't really like working out. I didn't like it really much at all. And went down there after I finished up football. Had no idea what to do because I always just did whatever they told me. And
Hmm.
then my brother Jake was like, "Hey, you should try this workout." And I realized I was a lot less fit than I had in my mind.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And so
And
yep,
go ahead.
I was gonna say because of that, I was like, I wanted more of it. You know what I mean? I was like very humbled and realized like I needed more of that in my life.
Hey, so you were playing football in high school, and then when you got out and you got out of high school, what did you do to stay in shape?
This was college. This was
Oh,
college.
you were playing college football.
This was my senior year of college. Yeah.
Oh shit. Okay, so you took it pretty seriously. Did you have aspirations to go to the NFL?
No,
No.
no, no.
It's pretty crazy to play college football and put that commitment in at such a high level and not have that aspiration, right? Or you just like moving and you just love the game?
Yeah, man. I mean, football is like the ultimate team sport, and I just love that. I played at a Division III college in Wisconsin called Beloit College, and yeah, I just looked at it as something that like I really, really enjoyed the process. I love going to practice. I love working hard. I love everything about the sport. Um, but yeah, I wasn't at a level where that was going to be a career for me. I was pretty self-aware about that.
Were you a starter?
Yeah.
Hey, that line you just said is huge. For some reason, that one's been really hitting home with me the last couple months with my kids, my two 8-year-old boys and the 10-year-old. Enjoying the process. That really you don't. Sports are 99% process. Life is process, and like almost you should love the process more than whatever that other thing is called, the game day.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely an element of that because even when the outcome goes as good as it possibly can, if uh if that's all you're chasing, you find yourself still empty. You find yourself still lacking, still seeking.
When you when you did you what year were you in college playing football when you found CrossFit? Your senior year?
Yeah, 2005.
And did you notice a huge leap in your abilities? Or was there not
Um,
time for that?
I didn't start it till after my senior season, so I wasn't doing CrossFit while playing football. But yeah, absolutely, I noticed a huge difference in what I was capable of. I had never trained in that way before. In fact, I was actually visiting my college like was it last weekend, 2 weekends ago, whenever SoCal Wodapalooza was, I was out there, and dude, I realized like I never went for a run in college. Just out for a jog or like having a good time. Like that wasn't really a part of fitness wasn't a part of my life except for the training that I did to try to be better at football. But it wasn't something that I truly appreciated until afterwards. And yeah, just learned a lot through that process.
Many I heard the stories from the beginning when I got into CrossFit, and I didn't play sports, so I didn't know. But I would hear the stories of someone who does a sport, and it was usually fighting because I was in Santa Cruz, and Greg had a lot of athletes who were fighters.
Hmm.
And I would hear this thing, the story over and over. I was a great fighter. I was a great fighter. I could never win the championship, the world championship, the gold at the tournament. And then I
Hmm.
started CrossFit, and holy shit, I just started winning all gold. And this was 20 years ago before anyone was doing it, right? And
Yeah.
so then or 18 years ago, and then it was, and then I took that huge leap. I'll never forget there was an attorney for St. Jude's Hospital. He was the head general counsel there, and he was a black belt in Taekwondo, and he was always going to tournaments, and he was always getting second place, always getting second place. And then 6 months into CrossFit, he was just drilling dudes. And so recently, my kids are playing these sports, and I can tell that the coaches want them to start, even though they're only 8, and 10. They're like, "Hey, man, now's the time. Your kids are amazing. Now's the time to start choosing one sport."
Oh
And I'm
wow.
like, "Man, I don't think that they either I don't get it or they don't get it." But then this weekend, I was with a guy who's 43 years old, who's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, who just started CrossFit about 6 months ago, and he says he's just demolishing everyone on the mat now. Whereas before he was really good, but he just added that piece, and everything has changed. And
Yeah, man.
it's interesting that people still don't see the value in adding that to just anything. It's still not, you know what I mean? It still hasn't been. I feel like every time I think it's been embraced. And this guy trains at a crazy high level academy, maybe one of the best jiu-jitsu academies in the world, and it's still like people are surprised.
Yeah, it is. It is wild, man. It's been a long time. But you know what? There's a lot of people doing CrossFit influence training outside of a traditional CrossFit setting
Oh,
nowadays. I mean,
every UFC fighter does CrossFit, and they probably don't even know it.
yeah, exactly. Everywhere you look, CrossFit has just changed how people train.
Yeah, yeah. Is your college doing it? When you went and visited, are they doing it? Do they supplement it into their training? Do you think?
You know, I'm not sure. I know they have been doing some conjugate, some West Side barbell influence conjugate strength training, and um, they have a new strength and conditioning coach there that I actually had a chance to meet. We got to go back and visit and actually work out in the weight room a little bit, and that was cool. It's like it's old school. It's got a low ceiling, and I remember when we first started doing CrossFit there was like we had these power racks and the pull-up bar, like the top of the pull-up bar to the ceiling was only
Uh-huh.
like
Yeah.
it was so low that we
No
had
bar
like
muscle ups.
yeah, we had to move the ceiling panels out of the way so we could do bar muscle ups where like our top half was like in the attic area. And yeah, like I don't know what the point of that story is. I don't know if they're doing CrossFit specifically there, but I know that what they are doing has been influenced by CrossFit.
Did he know? Did the strength and conditioning coach know who you were and what you do now?
I was a she. Yeah.
Does she know?
We visited about it. Yeah, I'm not sure if she knew ahead of time or not.
Did you squeeze? Were you able to squeeze in there that that not only you've been to the games, you've been to the games 10 times as an athlete?
Yeah.
Are you able to squeeze, like, are you able to squeeze that in there and then also
That
tell her that you coached the 2-time champion?
you know what? None of that ever came up.
No, God, it's crazy. It, and I know you're a humble guy. You're not a braggadocious guy at all. But if she's a strength and conditioning coach and that's her specialty, and she has an opportunity to pick your brain when you're solely focused on getting maximum human capacity in all domains out of a human being, I would be like, hey, could I get your number?
No, we did, and we exchanged numbers. We
You
visited about
did.
some
Okay.
stuff. Yeah, absolutely. And just yeah, just helping them out. But yeah, I just didn't. I don't feel like bringing that stuff up needs to be part of the conversation.
Right.
I just enjoy this stuff, and yeah, in her role, I was like, man, how can we help you? How can we support you? That type of thing.
When you meet someone who's in the film business, and you're in the film business, in the first 5 minutes, they'll tell you everything that they've done. Do you know what I mean? You'll be
Yeah,
like, "Hey,
yeah.
how are you?" And then they'll be like, "What do you do?" And be like, "I'm a producer." And then within 2 seconds, they'll be like, "I produce Terminator. I'm working on 2 fire shows right now." You know what I mean? Like that, they like get their whole, they get their whole thing out.
Do you do that?
No, no. A matter of
Right.
fact, to this day, I just had an experience like that this weekend in Las Vegas, and the guy's like, "What do you do?" I'm like, I just hang out. I don't say,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, you got to ask me like four,
100%.
you got to ask me like 4 questions before I'm gonna like be like, hey, I have a ultra right wing, I mean, a podcast that talks about health and fitness.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So yeah, I'm probably pretty similar there.
I'm searching for Jesus. That's it. That's it. That's all I'm doing.
Hey, aren't we all?
Um, the athletes that I know you coach are that I believe that you coach going into this are Justin Medeiros, Trista Smith, and Danielle Brandon.
Yeah, those are a couple of them.
And are there? And I know you have an affiliate that's pumping. And I didn't mean to. And then the regular Joes, the people the people in the real world, you're getting healthy. But do you have any other people who have games aspirations in your corral?
We got a guy in our gym, Adam McAdam. He's been a semifinals athlete
Oh,
a couple times.
yeah.
Um,
That's a name you never forget. Adam
yeah,
McAdam.
Adam McAdam. Yeah, Mac. He's awesome. Yeah, he's training hard. And then of course Ellie Turner
Ellie,
is
right?
like, yeah,
Right? Right?
she's still working hard. Her path, her journey hasn't been what maybe she or any of us had expected or hoped for, but she's still working hard, man. She's in that process of trying to improve, trying to get better every day.
Hey, speaking of Ellie, she's had injuries. That's her deal, right?
Yeah, 2023 had a back injury at the games that she's still been yeah, navigating through.
What is that like? I'm trying to think if there's anything analogous to it. But what is that? What is that like? I would guess that with an athlete that's navigating that landscape, one, they actually have the physical ailments, and then of course there's the psychological ailments too. We've heard lots of athletes talk about that, especially once you hurt your back, you're like, oh shit,
Yeah.
you don't want that to happen again. I'm guessing trust in that relationship has to be like super crazy high.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, there's like for a chunk of time there, it's less about her being an athlete and just supporting her as a person. That like you said, that back injury piece for her has been just it's been really emotional, and it's been tough to feel like you're doing everything you possibly can and still not have all the answers or not have the outcome, the solution that you're looking for. And I think that it would have been easy at any step these last couple of years to just pull the plug and be like, man, this is not for me. It's not something um, that is in my path. But and that would be okay. And athletes decide to do that and step aside and be like, hey, I'm gonna pursue other areas of my life. That's totally okay. But in Ellie's situation, like she's worked hard the whole time to be an athlete and to get back out there. And so she's still working at that. And so my job is like not to not to choose what her goals are, but just to support what she wants to try to accomplish. And so yeah, that's the process we're still in.
And it's not like she was an aspiring athlete. This is someone who is at a crazy high level who could win events at the games and beat the best in the world. So like all the when you see her, all that potential's in there.
100%. And you still see that daily. You still see her ability to do things that other people just, it's world class. It's world class. But also there's some things that need to be improved upon. Obviously, health being number one. And it's tough, man. Being one of the best CrossFit athletes in the world, when we see these guys out there doing what they do, it's they make it look easy, and that's
Mm-hmm.
really anybody that's at the best of what they do. But all the steps that go into these guys competing at that level and just performing at that level of human capacity, um, man, there's a lot to it. And I would never take for granted these guys' ability to be able to do what they do. It's phenomenal. It's impressive.
And basically, a great visual of that is someone who's world class, who doesn't stop or take any rest and transitions fast, can do Fran in 4 minutes, and then you see someone do it in 2 minutes, and you're like, but the person who did it in 4 minutes didn't stop or take any breaks, and you're like, what is going on?
Yeah, I mean, and even just the workout Fran doesn't have the same. I mean, for you and me, it's still Fran,
Right.
but for those guys, it's not enough anymore. It's like it's got to be and not that it still doesn't have value, but those guys get done with classic Fran so quickly. It's like it's over before it gets bad.
Yeah.
And so
It's in,
there's the new friendly Fran that came out. I guess that was like in 2020. But yeah, there's more challenging versions that I don't think the average person can even relate to. Um, you know,
Did you watch the SoCal Wodapalooza?
yeah, I did. I watched some of that. I couldn't be there in person, unfortunately. And so I watched as much as I could, and I watched some of it after the fact as well.
I didn't see, and maybe they were there, but I didn't see coaches there. I didn't see coaches there. I saw people speaking to their managers. I didn't see Brute there, and maybe they were. I didn't see Training Think Tank there. I didn't see you there. I didn't see. I just didn't see coaches there. Is that not kind of the type of event coaches go to? And maybe they were there, but I didn't see any of them there.
No, I mean, there's a lot of coaches there for sure. Especially, there's a bunch of different levels of athletes competing there. Um,
By coaches,
like,
sorry, I meant for the elite. I meant for the
oh yeah,
for the elite guys, the ones who are doing the teams.
yeah, gotcha. Yeah, I mean, yeah, part of it is not all of them, but each individual has their own coach. And so if there was, what is there, 8 individuals on a team, if there's also 8 coaches out there trying to, put their hand in the soup, it's like what is that? Too many cooks spoil the soup or whatever. It's just like there's a lot going on in that event. I know some of the coaches were out there. Um, I think that event is, I would have loved to have been there. I had actually just like a scheduling conflict where I need to be somewhere else. But man, I think that's just a really, really fun event. It reminds me a lot of some old school CrossFit.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's a blast for the athletes, just in the sense that like they get to be a part of a team effort. Um, and yeah, I plan on being there next year. Yeah, I wasn't
You
wasn't able to
do.
go this year, but yeah, 100%. And I would have been there this year if I could have been.
It's a really cool venue.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's
But
awesome.
no one misses the games. All the coaches are there.
Yeah, that for the individual. Yeah, 100%. Yep.
Like if you got a
Yep.
scheduling issue, you reprioritize your shit.
Yeah, I mean that's the marquee event of the year. That's kind of what the schedule is built around. So
Let,
yeah.
let let me ask you to speculate on something. Any thoughts on Tia? Um, took last place in best CrossFit Games athlete who ever lived.
Yeah.
In my opinion, special in every way, psychologically, physically, takes care of the process. Turned into a great, eloquent speaker. Huge proponent. Runs an insane gym. I mean, she's like, she's doing it. But then wins the games for a record 8th time. Can't say that's probably going to happen in our lifetimes again. And then takes last place in Fran. Like coach's hat and athlete's hat. Like if you give different perspectives on that, and what are your thoughts on that if you were to speculate? And then also to be fair, she had a chance to win it for her team in the final event with the great Ricky Garrard, who is absolute freak of nature. And they get beat by Danielle and Pat. Not that they didn't have insane performances during the weekend. They both destroyed. But any
Yeah.
thoughts on what's going on with Tia? Could she have just
Yeah. That's a
go
good
ahead?
question. I have no idea other than the fact that like Tia didn't look like herself out there. And that's just the reaction is just surprising, shock. You're just like, man, you're just so used to Tia being, head and shoulders above the rest. In fact, last year at SoCal, she did almost every event, and it was like, some of the sentiment in the um from the athletes is like, man, it's almost unfair. They have this secret weapon. They could put her in anywhere they want and
Yes.
basically win that event. And seeing her, not in that role, not wearing that hat was just yeah, it's surprising. It was surprising. I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. I don't know. I think we'll find out soon enough. I
At
think
Rogue. Oh no, she's
uh
not going to Rogue. She's not
she's
doing
not
Rogue.
going to Rogue, but I feel like Tia's like been um I don't know that she's ready to say anything at this point, but I feel like she's been pretty open and forthcoming with the community about how things are going and whatnot in the past, and so we'll see. I'm definitely like, as a fan of the sport, what Tia's accomplished is crazy. It's amazing. It's just one of those things that like you can't not be a fan of, in my opinion.
Yep, I agree.
And so not seeing her like that was yeah, I didn't like it.
If you had to speculate, do you think that it was just that she peaked at the games? And I know fitness at that level can wane quickly, right? You can lose that 1 or 2% um, pretty quickly, right? Like you could lose that in 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, but Tia just seems like she's been immune to that over the years. She can bounce back from high rocks and go win the CrossFit Games. Um, so yeah, it feels to me like there's more going on than just peaking at the games and then not training for a couple months. Whether that's health related, whether that's family related, whatever it is. I'm not sure, but I hope she competes at the games next year, and I hope we get to see her back,
Me too.
in full form.
Me too. Um, I think it's recently Novak Djokovic, the tennis player,
Yeah.
he went to the U.S. Open and he got beat. And I think it's cool when the torch is passed like that. Like I don't. Fighting's a little different. I kind of like in fighting. I kind of understand because you might not want to get knocked out one more time. But I do
Yeah.
think it's nice when the very best in the world passes the torch. We still know that Novak Djokovic at 30 years old will probably beat those guys, or at least we can speculate. But
Hmm.
at 38, it's like he just got beat. And so I would
Yeah.
like to see Tia take it to where there's a games where we're seeing her battle it out, with Alex Kazan or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Heck yeah, man. That Djokovic guy, he didn't they ask him like, hey, was there something wrong with you or whatever? And he's like, these guys are really good.
Yeah,
Like these guys are just really, really good. And that's where he's at in his career. And yeah, it's cool to see him still out there.
yeah. When these athletes you have, obviously Ellie Turner, I'm guessing the goal is to get her healthy.
Yeah. Yeah. I just had a great conversation with her yesterday, actually. And I mean, I would love to see Ellie healthy and back on the top tier of CrossFit competition. So at the CrossFit Games, I'd love to see out there just enjoying herself, and like really happy and grateful to be there. I don't really care about the outcome. If her getting back to the games would be just a huge win, and that's the goal for her. So yeah, that's where she's at, and I know she's capable of it too.
And then for I'm guessing Adam McAdam, it's to get him to the level to get him to the games.
Yeah, he's also, I mean, he's a little older. He started CrossFit late, you know, he's in his early 30s. So him making the CrossFit games as an individual is definitely a long shot, and he's aware of that. But he loves competing, man. He loves the sport. He loves doing it. He loves um, different levels of competition. So for him, he's still improving. Um, where that's going to get him in terms of whether that's back to semifinals, CrossFit Games, individual CrossFit Games on a team, whatever that looks like, we'll see. But for the foreseeable future, these next few years, he's very motivated to become as good as he can and just see what's possible there.
And I want to go ahead.
Go
Sorry.
ahead.
Okay.
No,
I want to go through these next three people, but let me take a little departure here. And then you also have what's not a new addition now, but it's the newer addition to the athletes training, and that's Jesse Buffano, who crazy intelligent.
yeah.
Would you say is he the strength guy for the athletes?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, he's in my opinion the best strength coach in the world. I'm biased, of course.
Sure.
But
I
in
mean,
our
he's greatly
space,
respected. Everyone loves the guy, like
yeah.
personally and coaching. And I mean, people, anytime his name comes up, people shower him with praise.
Yeah, he's as good as it gets, and not just in the strength world, but in the ability to apply strength to different athletes, CrossFit athletes, and other sport athletes, even UFC.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he's he's second to none in my opinion. So with all the athletes at the top of the sport that we work with, we work together.
And what year did he join the team? Do you remember?
Let's see, it would have been like November of 2020. So right after the
Okay.
2020 games, Justin did the CrossFit Total that year and he did decent. There's only 5 guys there at the games. He did decent. He was very competitive in the squat and the deadlift, not competitive at all in the strict press. And then in the fall of that year, you were there too, I think, at the 10-year affiliate gathering in Whistler.
Mm-hmm.
I had known Jesse for a long time prior, but had never like worked with him. Um, and we were just visiting about stuff there, and he was very familiar with Justin as an athlete and where he was at. And after some conversations with him, I was like, you know what, I'd love to bring Jesse onto the team and work together to fill that weakness for Justin.
And was that a love note? One of your kids passed you? Valentine's Day.
You want to
Valentine's Day
see what it
card?
was?
I
What does it
can't
say?
read.
Can I
Can I
pack?
pack?
Can I pack nerd gummy clusters for the track meet with chomp stick, goldfish, and buttons?
How old's your kid that handed you
Uh,
that?
11.
That is amazing. Hey,
Yeah.
that's the
So
kind of advantage they take of me too. They know you're busy, and you'll just be like,
yeah. Usually it's just a thumbs up. So
yeah, yeah.
she's going to school, but she's got a track meet after school. She's running the 800.
Oh,
So
that's awesome.
she knows she's got to get some protein. She's got to have some snacks. She's got to be ready.
That's the kind of thing. I'm on a phone call, and kids will walk in and be like, "Can we watch TV? Can we watch TV?"
And you're like,
Like,
yeah, just
I'm
leave
just
alone.
like this. I'm just like
Yeah.
this, and then they go inside and they watch TV. Like, what are you guys doing? Oh, we thought you said yes. Oh yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's an easy win right there.
I
Yeah.
used to do that to my mom when she'd be falling asleep. She'd be in bed reading or something. I'd be there, like, can I watch TV? I'm pretty sure she said yes.
Yeah,
Pretty sure she said
yeah.
yes. And Buffano, that's great because I'd forgotten that aspect of him. Even though he's a strength coach and a powerlifting guy and a strongman guy, he's obviously with UFC. He understands endurance and explosiveness, but he was a 10-year affiliate. So then that even though he is the strong guy, he knows CrossFit.
Yeah, knows it, I would say unlike any other, having just that strength background and just the ability to apply strength to different athletes and different sports it's really cool, man. And it's at first it was kind of an experiment. I was like, hey, let's prioritize some. I thought what we would do is work together for a few months and have a little block of training where the focus for Justin would be strength, and then we'd probably move on into the season and get back to more regular scheduled programming. And it was so valuable and so enjoyable, and we were all learning a lot through the process, and we saw we saw the potential there, and we were like, man, let's like, you want to keep doing this? Because I want to keep doing this, and Justin wants to keep like, let's go, let's keep doing it. And so that was, yeah, that was what, I guess like 5 years ago now.
And how long have you been coaching Trista?
Man, I'm gonna have to ask her. It's probably it's probably about the same.
So she
Yeah.
came on. So basically, her and Buffano maybe came on around the same time.
Yeah, roughly. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've known Trista since she was like 3 years old, 4 years old, maybe.
Her
Um,
parents go to the gym.
her parents, no, her parents actually used to own a CrossFit gym, and Trista grew up in a CrossFit affiliate.
Oh
Um,
wow, locally
yeah.
to you.
No, it's about she's from about maybe like 3, 4 hours away from me.
Okay.
But my brother, who got me into CrossFit, used to work out at Trista's parents' gym, and my sister-in-law even coached there. And so our families have been intertwined for a lot of years.
Okay. So when she came, she's always had you and Buffano.
Yeah, I think it was similar to Justin. I started with Trista when she was a teen, and yeah, pretty. I don't remember exactly the timeline there. It wasn't quite maybe as soon as Justin, but after a couple of years, Trista was in high school at the time, so I think, um, yeah, after a while of working together, really felt the same way of like, and actually still that's still true for Trista. She's just not quite strong enough yet to be, um, in that top tier of CrossFit athletes where she's qualifying for the games. So,
How old is she?
how old is she? 20, 20.
Okay. But still showing crazy. Like obviously we saw her at the West Coast, and she showed world class capacity, especially like in that final event with the handstand walk.
Yeah, that was a year ago. Which one? Oh, are you talking about West Coast Classic last year?
Yeah, is that what I don't know what I said, but yeah, West. I meant
Yeah.
the one that was in Carson.
Yeah. She did
Still,
good.
like
She did, yeah.
still could compete with the best of them in certain workouts.
Yeah, man. She was I think they took 8 or 9 female. I think they took 8 female athletes that year. Um and I think she finished 11th. So she was like 3 spots out of qualifying. This year at some of the semifinals that she did, she was in top 10, most of the time. In that maybe like 6th to 8th range, but only a couple people qualified from each. So again, she's just a little bit on the outside looking in. And honestly, we learned a lot for her this year. We kind of had a strategy of like, hey, let's uh let's go to every qualifying event that you can and see if we can punch that ticket to the games. And it was a lot of competing. And by the time she went to the fittest experience in Oklahoma, she was pretty burnt out. There was a few weeks in between that and the NorCal Classic this year, so she had a little better showing at the NorCal Classic. I think she ended up finishing 6th or 7th, something like that. But yeah, still just not quite there across the board, well-rounded enough to place where she needs to get to the games. But yeah, 100%, highly motivated, working hard, still seeing improvement, and I'm actually really excited because she really kind of needs a change of scenery. She's been basically working out at home in a garage, mostly solo for the last couple seasons. And she's coming out to Vancouver here, starting actually this month. And so I'm really excited to have a lot more in-person time with her. I think it's going to be a game changer for this season for her.
And she's coming out. This is starting to prep for the Open and for
Yeah,
the
yeah,
2022 season.
this is working for next season. Actually, she's going to be competing at Crash too, so she'll be out there in a couple weeks.
Yeah. J.R. Howell, excited to see her at the Crucible.
Heck yeah, me too. Me
Did
too.
when she goes to that, do you tell her, hey, you should go to this to get that experience or to compete, or is that her idea?
Actually, that was JR's idea. I think he reached out and was like, "Hey, this is something Trista will want to do." And we actually, um, because Trista competed a lot during this year's semifinal season, in fact, almost too much. And that was a good takeaway, good learning experience for us. Um, we got some good data points and really we're on the same page about like, hey, she doesn't need more competition experience. A lot of athletes her age really benefit from competition experience and just what you learn in the process there. Trista's actually, for her age, she's competed a lot, right? She's been at the team games quite a bit, and she's an athlete that actually really rises to the occasion. She competes really well. She's just not quite fit enough yet. So for her, it's like we really just need to focus this offseason on training. We got to get stronger. We got to get better on the machines in order for her to be competitive at the highest level. And so we didn't really put any off-season competitions on the calendar until, the plan was next year's open. But that is a long time to go without, having some fun too. And so when JR reached out and kind of looked at just the history of that competition, and it really is a great fit for her for a lot of reasons. The level of athlete at Crash is a lot of athletes that are at a similar place than her. Some that have qualified for the games, but quite a few that are really aspiring to do that. So from a competitive standpoint, that makes a lot of sense for her, but also from I've never been there, but just heard a lot of really great things about that competition. It's pretty unique programming. And
Her division's crazy.
yeah.
There,
So I think
it's the future's there. The future of CrossFit is showing up at that event. People like her. People like Lydia Fish. People like Carolyn Stanley.
yeah. So that's a pretty cool thing to be a part of. So actually, when JR reached out and Tristan and I visited about it, we were both pretty excited, and we're like, hey, there's a lot of upside and really no downside to going out there. So why not?
Tell me about. She had that experience at the NorCal Classic where she hit the wall. I want to say it was in that crazy thruster race. It was probably 100 degrees out on the floor. Do you remember that? And
You're
I think
talking not this season, but last year's NorCal Classic.
yeah, 2 years ago. Was
Hmm.
that tell me about that experience. Is that a valuable experience? I would think it is at her age to have an experience like that where it's like, oh shit, the wheels actually came off the bus. She was stumbling around out there, right? I mean, so were a handful of athletes.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, I guess I don't know if she hit a wall other than she just was, getting every rep she possibly could, and that workout, like,
I mean, you guys carried her off, right? She was assisted off.
no, I mean,
No,
she walked off. Yeah, she walked off. She was messed up for sure. Um, but yeah, no, she was
I think
okay.
one person finished that workout. I think Colton was the only one who finished that workout,
Yeah, I think you're right about
or got
that.
close, or at least got close.
Yeah, that was NorCal Sioux.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was nuts.
Yeah, I mean that it tested everybody, and there was a lot of factors there, right? It was very very warm out there on the floor. It was one of those workouts that's kind of like a death by style where like
Mhm.
nobody wins, everybody gets out what they can. Obviously Colton finished it, so he probably won. But yeah, man, that was awesome. I was really proud of her on that. It was actually kind of funny because my daughter was there as assistant coach, which was really fun, and it's a great competition for that because it's pretty wide open, and so my oldest daughter got to hang out there, and we pretty much needed to leave before that workout started to make our flight, but of course we couldn't do that, and so as Trista was coming off the floor, we're like, man, we got to go. Like, awesome work. Uh,
Oh man.
we'll see you sometime. And meanwhile, medical's coming up. Like, hey, is she okay? Like, does she need help? This type of thing. And yeah, she's fine, man. She's a tough kid, dude. Yeah, she's not a kid anymore, but yeah, she's got a great mindset. She's wise beyond her years and just her perspective on things. And yeah, man, I love working with her. I'm excited for her to compete this season.
Any challenges with you have three athletes who are extremely popular, Danielle, Trista, and Justin. Any challenges with that you didn't deal with 10 years ago?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. There's definitely the I don't know. We live in a different world where these guys, 10 years ago, for me personally as an athlete, I was not making a living as an athlete, right? I didn't have sponsorships. I didn't have those other factors that come along with being an athlete to try to navigate and to try to balance. I was a CrossFit coach that just really loved competing. And so that was something that yeah, it's new, and there's a lot of I don't know, there's a lot of things that come with that, but I don't think they're bad. I think it just comes with the territory of like these guys have an amazing opportunity to be um, doing what they love and making a living, making an amazing career um, doing CrossFit, and that's just it's such a blessing to be able to do that. Yeah, there's some. It's probably like anything, I have the best job in the world being able to go into a CrossFit affiliate every day and hopefully help make people's lives better. But also, like, I got to do the monthly excise tax or whatever. There's stuff that comes with the job that maybe isn't your favorite part of it. And I think there's things involved with being an athlete that just come with the territory that maybe aren't your favorite part, but are just a necessary aspect of being an athlete that gets to make a living, doing what you love, and people want to be a part of seeing that. And
And maybe some people can learn to love it. Like you might not love it at first because you don't know how to manage it.
yeah,
But after a
totally.
while, some of those things you just have to learn. I mean, I think something that a lot of people go through who start to go into the public eye is you can't talk to everyone anymore. And so you can't answer every text message. You can't answer every DM. You can't, shit's just falling through the cracks. And at some point, you have to just be like, I can't. I accept that.
Yeah, yeah, that, and I mean, I think you do have to be an individual athlete at the top of any sport. You got to be pretty selfish with your time and energy, and there's only so much that you can give to those outside things.
Um, uh, Going back to that, the attention, like I thought one of the really cool things that Justin did was obviously 2-time fittest man in the world, world class elite, and yet he entered a powerlifting meet, knowing that it's not his domain, but that's I was really impressed with that because of the vulnerability you have to give.
Totally. Yeah, putting yourself out there and something like that. That was
Yeah.
pretty cool. And yeah, that was just it was a way to provide some focus to his training, and prioritizing strength that year was a big deal for him. So, when you have to step out there on the platform, it means something. It has a level of accountability that adds some focus to your training. And so yeah, it's cool. He's really humble, and he was willing to go out there and do that, knowing that he's not going to be the best you know at a sport that's not his focus, but he's still willing to put himself out there.
Do you feel you have a daughter?
Yeah, I got two.
2 daughters. Do you feel obviously Trista is extremely beautiful. She gets tons of eyeballs on her. Do you feel protective since you've known her since she's been a little girl and you see her getting thrust into this limelight? You feel
Yeah, man, for sure. Yeah, not just with her, but like with all those athletes, all those individual athletes that I get to work with. I feel a responsibility to just do look out for their best interest, not just in the competition floor, but yeah, life outside that also,
yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, and are you a part of that in terms of do you work closely with her management?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So you're friends with all those guys who manage her, and if you had concerns or anything, you would say something.
Yeah, 100%. And we have had conversations like that. Yeah, just making sure that we're being thoughtful, we're doing the right thing, and yeah, I want Trista to be a person that's like known for what she does as an athlete and who she is as a person. And she's just an incredible individual, and I think a person that has a lot to offer. And yeah, like I said, I'm just excited for her. But yeah, just being protective of there's people out there looking for different things, especially in the online world,
Mm-hmm.
and being thoughtful and being intentional about what she's doing and the persona that she's putting out there, I think is an important conversation that needs to be had, just like you say, if it was my own daughter.
Yeah. So you do have that relationship with her.
Yeah, for sure. And not just me, but yeah, she's got myself, Jesse, Daniel, her manager that works with her, her parents are all involved in that process with her.
Because kids don't know what they don't know, right?
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like if you always swim in the bay and then you swim out to the ocean, you've never seen sharks before. And if someone doesn't, even when someone tells you, "Hey, there's fucking sharks out there," you're like, "Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I've been swimming in the bay my whole life. It's no different."
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man. And it's crazy world for sure.
Did you see the online courtship that one of the I think it was one of the Griffiths brothers was someone said, "Hey, what are you going to do with your prize money?" And he said, "I'm going to take Trista, hopefully take Trista out for dinner."
I did hear about that. I haven't even asked Tristan about it yet.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I was a little out of the loop on it.
it was very cool. I liked it. It was very wholesome. It was very. It was how I like to see things go down. It was, and she was a great sport. She did the little eyeballs.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
she was
Tristan's awesome.
Yeah, she was a great sport. So for her, you have these athletes at different levels. We talked about Adam McAdams, aspiring but older. Ellie
Hmm.
Turner, got to um, uh, get her into the fun zone and enjoying what she's doing and get past this hurdle of the injury.
Yeah,
Um,
100%.
and then you have someone like Justin Medeiros, two-time champion. If you watch his podcast, you can see that he has no lack of self-confidence, and he believes in himself, and he seems mentally there he wants to win again. He's not
Yep.
like he's not bathing in his glory days. Um, totally different with him, like different approach. What's the approach with Justin? And
Oh,
you have an honesty with the way you describe Trista and the way you describe Adam McAdams and Ellie Turner. It was very honest. It wasn't you didn't have the like, hey, fuck it, the games are bust. You have it like, hey,
yeah.
this is where they are in their journey. But someone with Justin, um, is it like, hey, dude, you need to win the games every year?
No,
No.
no, because that's not helpful for him. Yeah, in fact, that's almost the opposite for him. Like talking about, hey, you got to win the games or it's a failure.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it just isn't productive. Like that type of conversation isn't helpful. Um, that's ultimately his goal, 100%. Like he wants to be the best in the world, and he knows how to do that, and so that is the goal. But the focus is on, hey, what are the steps daily that I need to take to make that happen? You know, and a lot of that for him has been, you know, he had he had some really fast success in the sport from,
Yep.
basically qualifying for his first games, going to the COVID games at the ranch with five other guys. Matt's last year, he took third, and then he won the games twice, and then he finished 13th the next year. You know,
Which
so
is still incredible. But when you have that incredible year that he had with Matt, and then to pass the baton, basically it would seem like Matt passed the baton to him, and then he wins twice back to back,
yeah,
which no one does. Very few people do.
right.
And then take 13th. Yeah, it's for him that he probably wasn't stoked.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's I think one thing I think it says a lot about the sport, not just about the individual. In the sense that like uh, the top of the sport is competitive for sure, and you do have the Riches who won four, Matt won five, Tia won eight, and then you have this group of like I guess Justin, Annie, and Katrin all won twice. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and and then after that it's like, and especially on the men's side, I think we have four different champions the last 4 years. Is that right?
It feels like it. I think so.
Yeah, yeah. Justin, Jeff,
And great,
James,
and great, and great people too.
great people. Yeah,
Great
Justin, Jeff,
people.
James, and Jason.
James, yeah, great athletes.
Yeah, great athletes. And so, yeah, it's one of those things. Justin, after winning and then taking a pretty big step backward, he lost some of the joy, some of the love, and kind of maybe lost his why a little bit there for a minute. And so for him to just kind of yeah, take that tough pill to swallow, and just go back to the basics and be like, hey, why am I really doing this? What do I want to accomplish? And try to, I don't want to say start over, but yeah, just go back to square one, and just focus on what he needs to do to become a better athlete. That's been a part of his process this last couple of years. And I think that I think we've seen some really encouraging signs from him. Uh,
Hmm. His
it's
headspace seems great.
He's in a great spot, man. He's enjoying what he's up to. Man, he had a phenomenal showing at SoCal.
I
Obviously,
agree.
it's a team. It's a team event, but like he went down there. He did a little road trip, and visited a bunch of affiliates along the way. He really does enjoy the community aspect of CrossFit, and giving back to people. He's got a big heart. He's a generous guy, and so road tripping down to SoCal, and visiting a bunch of affiliates, and hanging out with some buddies. He worked out more during those 3 days on his way down to SoCal than he probably did in the 2 weeks prior.
That's
Um,
crazy.
And I think he was a little worried because not only was he working out at all these affiliates, but like you know how it is when you're at an event in the public eye, you're just on. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
you're constantly giving. You know, and that requires a lot. You know, it's not the same thing as maybe doing thrusters and pull-ups, but like it requires a lot of energy and effort. And so he showed up at Wodapalooza pretty tired, man.
Oh,
Um, and unsure of how he was going to feel out on the competition floor. But man, he just did a great job. He competed really well. He was a great teammate. I think he was really honored to get that the MVP
mm.
award. You know, that was chosen by his peers and by the event organizers and the fans. I don't know exactly how the voting worked on that, but that was a big deal for him, and it really meant a lot to him to have that have that recognition of being you know a great teammate and a great athlete at the same time.
He gave really high energy answers. They also did whenever he was interviewed, he kept the
Mm,
energy high, and he did that community podcast, and
yeah, that's right.
he navigated that beautifully. He was great on it. And obviously, I think that him and Jason and Dallin and James, although James wasn't there, I think that they
Yeah,
keep each other's energy pretty high. I
yeah,
think that they're helping each other's headspace quite a bit.
for sure. Yeah, that's been a really, I mean, it's been a really positive thing for that group of guys, but also it's been fun to see, right, from an
Oh
outside
yeah,
perspective.
and it's great for everyone who watches
Yeah,
who's involved in CrossFit. Yeah.
yeah, it's awesome. And you talk about those guys kind of yeah, just learning a different skill set, being in that public eye a little bit more. Those guys have like they've really developed their ability to yeah to be on camera and to interact and engage with the fans in a different way and give back to the community in a way that I think has value and it's enjoyable. Yeah, I'm proud of what those guys have done, and it's pretty cool to watch.
When is Trista coming on the podcast? She's been on twice.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Yeah, she's been on twice. She was great. Um,
Yeah.
not to say she won't be on a third time, but she's been on twice. Uh, Going back to Justin, he, my boys can be pretty hard on him, and I was fighting with them the other day on the show, and I'm like, he won the games twice, then he got a home, he moved away to a different state, he got a girlfriend, and he put on 200,000 Instagram followers. And I think all of those or 300,000. I think those are all in itself challenging things to add to your life,
For sure.
let alone in the time domain that he did it.
Yep.
And do you think that these things, I mean, even just getting a home takes a lot of energy, right?
Yep.
All of a sudden, like, instead of working out, you're picking fucking doorknobs, or you're trying to figure out how you're going to patch the hole in your fence so your dog doesn't get out. Like,
Yeah.
all of a sudden these things happen that don't happen if you're living in the basement with your parents, right? They keep the
Yep.
fridge full. And do you think that those played a role? The moving away, getting a home, the girlfriend, all of a sudden all of the media attention.
Yeah, man. I think it'd be naive to say that like, no, that didn't affect me at all. That was just just part of it. I think it'd be nice because those are all like big
Yep.
life changes. And yeah, man, I think there's, and sometimes it's maybe we lose track of the fact that like all these athletes are also people too.
Mm-hmm.
And Matt Frazier is a guy that is capable of, living in his parents' basement and just eat, sleep, and breathe training and nothing else and being successful in that environment. Um, and and not everybody else is like that. Justin, he was out here in Vancouver. I mean, we lived together for a couple of years, and CrossFit was really was his life. And he won the games a couple times, and it was awesome. But also, yeah, there were some things that like some other things that he wanted to pursue, just to be fulfilled.
Yeah.
And part of that is he went to college in Boise and loved it there, and that's kind of where he saw himself. As he grew up, he wanted to move back to Boise. I think that was a really positive thing for him. Did some of those things, moving away and buying a house and uh, you know getting a girlfriend and fame and all that stuff, did some of those things affect um, his ability to be just singularly focused on competition or training? Yeah, for sure. But
I mean,
also,
just in the sheer empiricalness, it's a time management thing. If all of a
yep,
sudden you have 7,000 times the amount of DMs and you have like we were saying, you have a hole to patch in your backyard fence and then dishes to do, and then your toilet's fucking clogged with a deuce. I mean, there's you know what I mean? That's 5 hours out of your week that you didn't have to give before.
yeah, 100%, 100%. But him just focusing on competition only. Um, he wasn't super happy in that environment, right? Like he needed some other things to balance his life out. And from the outside, you might look at that and be like, oh, it negatively affected him in his performance. But the reality is, he's he's better now than he was then,
So
if that
quality of
makes sense.
life, quality of life went up.
Quality of life went up, but he's also a better athlete now than he was then. Like
Okay.
across the board, the numbers that he's hitting, whether you look at his strength, whether you look at
Like mile time, strength,
his bench
the
press, those
all
pieces. Yeah, yeah. And there was definitely a period of time um where he went backwards a little bit, after that 2022 games. He had some health stuff where it was like, man, he didn't go into the 2023 games at 110%. And then he really struggled on day one, and he battled back and whatnot, but he had a
was that the
rough
year
showing.
was that the year of the bike accident too?
Yeah, yeah, the first
Okay.
event got in
Okay.
a bike accident. He also um and he had some heat stress going on in that next event where he was doing 20-pound wall balls in like sets of five. And you're like, man,
Something's wrong.
I I don't know who's out there, but something is very wrong. Yeah. So yeah, but that's part of being an athlete. Sometimes things go awesome, and sometimes you learn some stuff. And I'm really optimistic about where Justin's at right now, based on where he's been the last couple of years. He's in a really good headspace. He's hungry. He's excited to compete. He's healthy, healthier than he's been for a long time. He's motivated. He's really looking forward to Rogue, here in I guess about a month now. And yeah, so yeah, there's a lot to be excited about for Justin Medeiros this upcoming season.
In the year he won the games twice, he won Rogue both times also, correct?
Sure did, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So he was on a
that's
he was,
wild.
and he was on a run there where just so many things went right.
Yeah.
you know. And the ball bounced the right way. Even 2022 Rogue. I mean, Vellner probably should have won that competition. Vellner, he missed a jerk or a couple clean and jerks on the end of
Oh, that's
that
right.
that heavy grace workout, and kind of had it in the bag, and you know he had some unfortunate circumstances that worked out well for Justin, and yeah, that's the way things go when
Yeah.
you win and you're on top. And I mean, things are so tight at the games or at the top level now. You're like, man, you saw it with Jason Hopper. He was the fittest guy there, and he had some things that really went his way, and he earned the title this year, fittest on earth. And
You
you
can
know,
never give up. If you're in that final heat, you can never give up
you can never give up.
because anything can happen.
100%, man, and that's exciting for the sport. I think it's really good.
What do you think about this theory? And I put the theory out there, and a bunch of people agreed with me, but then some other people have been like, "Hey, you're full of shit," and they've sent me data disproving it. But what do you think about all these big guys getting into the sport? What do you think's happening? I was blaming it on the machines. I don't like to see all these machines. I like the way JR uses machines. You know what I mean? And like I didn't mind. I don't mind like a 50 cal buy-in. You know what I mean? If you need to rev something, rev up the heart rates. But all these machines everywhere are giving people like James and Jason and Roman what I would call an unfair advantage. Like I think machines are kind of stupid. I think they're very, very low skill, and I don't think that they're transferable to real life as much as like burpees would be, or shuttle runs, or even riding a road bike. I just think that I think it's led in these big guys and giving us this false sense of let me give you the example I gave. If I had to pick a guy like Tudor Magda who could do 1,000 double unders unbroken, and then you show me,
Crazy.
the guy who's can only do 200 double unders unbroken, but he's got the world record on the assault bike for 50 cows. And you put them in any other domain, I pick the double under guy. You know what I mean? In fighting and football and like you wrestling,
Mhm.
you just pick some other sport, and I'm always going to pick the double under guy.
Yep.
Just because I think it's so much more, it shows so much more athleticism and skill, and yet you're still having to get the heart rate to crazy numbers.
Yeah, yeah, I hear what you're saying, and I hear your perspective on machines. Um, you know,
And I'm okay with the rower, but I know that there's no sense to it. I'm okay with the rower for romantic reasons because it was always there when you and I came into the sport.
yeah,
But
yeah,
but
yeah,
but even the assault bike wasn't there. The Aerodyne was just kind of a novelty. Once every twice a year, you would just put your best client on it and put him in front of the class. You know what I mean, and see if you could make him puke, and you guys would cheer him on. It wasn't like, you know what I mean. It wasn't. There weren't 20 fucking Aerodynes and people warming up on it.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I told.
We did 5 rounds of Cindy to warm up.
Yeah, yeah, I hear you. I hear you. It actually sounds like a small guy that isn't great at machines.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
that's the perspective. But
fair enough,
no,
is that unfair to, like, maybe unfair is not the
no.
right word, but is that what, do you think that's what kind of has happened to Justin, that he's not he because I've always hated this. Oh, the programming determines the winner. I'm like, fuck you, get fitter. But now these machines are really starting to fucking piss me off.
I'd be lying if I said that they hadn't changed the game, because they absolutely have, and they've definitely changed the way that we've trained, that we currently train, for sure. Um, and the reality of the situation is, if you look at, I don't know what you might call it, but the richest glory years of CrossFit, you're right. There was the rower, and that was it. And you're talking 12 to 15 events at the games, and you're going to see one machine, you know, that type of thing. Whereas at this year's games, we not only saw the rower. I don't think the rower was like that significant in the first event this year. It was definitely a factor, but it wasn't like the primary factor. That was mostly a running workout. But then when we saw the Echo bike, the skier, the Concept 2 bike, and then the Air Runner, all of those machines played a very significant role um, in the outcome. As far as programming goes, it's a double-edged sword, because my perspective as an athlete has always been, it doesn't matter what comes out. It's my job is to go out there and perform the task. Like, I just got to go out there and compete, and excel at whatever's in front of me. So it doesn't do me any good to be like, oh man, there's more of this or less of that. It's not good or bad programming. It's just what it is, right? But then, stepping out of that athlete mindset, um, you have to consider, the test. And for Justin specifically, like he's just not as he's not as good on the machines as the other boys and erupted guys, and some other folks in the field. And so
But he's still great at them, but just these fucking giant men
yeah, are really freaking good. So
are crushing the machines.
it just means we have to dedicate more training time to those areas, and get better at them. And that's just the way it is. Whether I like it or not is beside the point.
Let me
I
ask you this: do you like it?
I hope that my hope is that for who is programming an event, that
Mhm.
um, they're considering those things, right? Sometimes I think it's easy to make workouts that are just hard workouts, and it's easy to just throw a machine in there, to you know to make a workout challenging. But I hope that when folks are programming for these events, that they're looking at the bigger picture and how these things fit together. And if more than half of the workouts are decided by machines that we can hop on, I'd like to see that skewed a little bit more toward moving your body weight and external objects that maybe are a little bit more level of the playing field. And there's also the flip side of that argument might be like, hey, for Matt Fraser and Tia, it doesn't matter what comes up. Those guys are immune to programming. They're just,
Mhm.
they're the fittest, and it doesn't matter what comes up. They're going to be able to prove that and show that. And there's definitely some truth to that, for sure. Um, but yeah, I like to see, the programming has evolved a lot over the years. And I think both you and I are pretty old school in that, what kind of got us here in the 2010 to 2020 maybe decade of CrossFit Games competition is maybe what we see in our mind, and maybe it's a little bit nostalgic, but that might be what we see as our favorite style, and
Yeah.
that's not maybe how things go at this point. But yeah, I think that yeah, we'll see what happens. It's not something that I put a lot of time and energy into considering, because at the end of the day, my job is to help the athletes that I get to coach be as successful in competition as they can be, and the machines are a big part of that. So we got to figure out how to improve each individual in those areas.
I really liked the event. I don't know if it was this year at semifinals or the year before, but the one that was the clean and jerks, and then I don't remember if it was 600 or 800 meter run, and it was 5 rounds.
Yeah,
Like
that was awesome.
like I just love like that. To me, like whoever wins that, I'm picking you as the fittest guy. We don't need to do any more.
Yeah, there are some
Like
workouts like that. Yeah,
there you go. I'm good. That guy can run and in transition and be strong. I'm good.
yeah, pretty awesome. Yeah, I agree. There's some workouts that are just great tests where you're like, hey, do we really need to do any more?
Yeah, and there's a lot of shifting in that workout. I remember Colton and Fikowski were at the back of the pack, and they finished at the front of the pack, and so there was a component of intelligence and pacing and maturity
Yeah,
to it.
yeah, that was awesome. That was a great event. I don't know. That'd be a good question for Dave, though.
All
The
right,
machine.
I'll have
The
him on.
yeah,
Yeah, but I've had some private conversations with them, and they've gotten to like people hanging up on each other, and
yeah, yeah, yeah,
it goes from phone to text message quick.
yeah. And I mean, hey, he's the guy that programs the game. So at the end of the day, that's it's up to him what it looks like.
Um, your next athlete, Danielle Brandon, wild ride, very interesting history, insane. Gets the scholarship, I think, to Sac State in track. A hard worker. From when she was on the show, she basically used sports as a like I think a lot of people who have hardship in their life is sort of an escape mechanism. Like, hey, if rather than be in the house, I could be out training and doing good things and being around good people and getting pats on the back instead of being at home and being not treated the way they want to be treated. Then ends up doing the pole vaulting and sets a collegiate record, even though she's not a fucking pole vaulter, which clearly shows her dedication and hard work and ability to develop athleticism. Qualifies for, I want to say she qualified for regionals at least twice, but didn't go because she had to fulfill her obligations to keep her scholarship going at
Yeah, I
SAC.
think she had like collegiate nationals for track. Yeah, at the same time as regionals.
So the people who are like diehard CrossFitters know that there's this freak out there, but we still haven't seen them show up on the scene. Shows up on the scene, really gets on the demo team, gains a lot of attention there. Then the COVID year does that remarkable, quasi solo performance. First time the word quasi has been used on the show in 5 years.
I don't even know what it means.
I don't know what it means either. I was surprised to hear it come out of my mouth. Quasi solo performance, and then it's been just this kind of this trip because she was with one camp, switched, right before the games. Then I think then there was the COVID debacle, and then I want to say she switched again, and then now a third time right before the games she switches again. We heard her come to you, and I'm going to tell you, to be completely frank, you would have been I think of you as probably one of the best kept secrets in CrossFit. 10 years of experience, all sorts of other crazy athletic achievements, full-blown nerd. Everyone likes you. I kind of think of you as like the church of the West Coast, as just a really peaceful, grounded kind of epicenter corner of CrossFit, even as an affiliate owner. How long have you had your affiliate?
16 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think of you as kind of like this bedrock of CrossFit in all areas, whether it be in community, mindset, generosity, and then you've nurtured these young athletes like Justin and Trista and brought them up in this in this way. And now 2 weeks before, someone says, "Oh, she's going to Neiffer," and I'm like, there's no fucking like, I just didn't see it. And I was like, what is he gonna? Is he gonna help her find Jesus? I don't see you as I never saw that coming together. Can you tell me what happened? Like, who calls you
Yeah,
for
yeah.
that?
No, like you feel
I
like
see
their
her as like just
personalities
this.
don't mesh.
She's like the Incredible Hulk, like with that group of guys. You know what I mean? And you're like, yo, like we know you got crazy skills, but you're the Hulk, and like that shit has to be managed.
Yeah.
Like you can't turn green fucking at a funeral.
Yeah, dude. Can you still hear me okay?
I hear you great. Your audio is amazing. I love her.
Okay,
I
cool.
love her. I love her
Cool.
too. We're
Yeah,
so,
yeah,
by
yeah.
the way, we're so lucky as a sport to have her.
She's awesome.
Yeah, we're so lucky to have her.
Yeah. Yeah, man. If you would have told me before this started of like, hey, you're gonna be working with Danielle, I would have been like, I doubt it. Like
Yeah.
I was probably as surprised as anybody. And I think the way that yeah, for people that are curious, how that kind of came to be.
Let me just say one more thing too. I would put you on the Mount Rushmore of CrossFit, just people.
That's
Like,
awesome, man. Thank you.
yeah, like if I had to pick 5 people or however many dudes are up there, like you'd be one. Like you've done it all. So,
Dude,
yeah, you've done it all.
that's
You're
that's kind of you to say, man. I
yeah,
appreciate it.
yeah, you're a
I
bedrock. Yeah, you're one of the greatest to ever do it, and you're also just a great human being. So, yeah. So sorry, go on. So you're just hanging out at home. Oh, so if someone told you you'd be coaching Danielle, you'd be like, I don't see it.
Yeah, yeah, I would not have expected that for sure. But um, that being said, so trying to think kind of when, so some stuff happened with Danielle where she was seeking a change in scenery and coaching, right? And I don't even know all the details about that. I think it was pretty public and out there.
Yeah,
But whatever steps led to her needing a new coach about a month out from the games.
and let's be clear too. Her coach just fucking won the games.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's not like Coach L's this shit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, Coach L is awesome. And actually, prior to that, I don't know exactly when, but Coach L does some conjugate strength training, and actually was uh like seeked out Jesse, just kind of Jesse Buffano as a resource for strength building. And this was before Danielle came into the picture. Um, and then I don't know when it was, but we work with the same management, right? So Cooper and Danielle manage Danielle and Justin. And at some point,
and Trista, right?
yep, and Trista. And it's been known by Danielle and everybody in the space for a while that like, hey, her biggest weakness in the sport is strength, specifically squatting. Any event that comes up that has a heavy squatting component, she tends to struggle with. And so,
is that from injury? I always assumed it was injury and she was just really tentative, like there was a mental block.
She has had a prior injury, but even before that, she wasn't
that wasn't her thing.
Yeah, her squatting strength was not. And we see that sometimes. We see some athletes that are, really like Danielle is crazy athletic. I mean, just like anybody that can do pole vault, a couple pole, like Annie was a pole vaulter too, right?
Yep.
Yeah, crazy athletic, gymnastics background, but just hasn't developed the squatting strength specifically. And for some CrossFitters, like a Colton Mertens, that comes pretty naturally. And for others, they have to put a lot of work into just being proficient. And that's been Danielle's path. And so Cooper and Elle and myself and Jesse had talked about Danielle coming up to Squamish and doing some strength training with Jesse, just as like a learning experience. And that was well before she ever was seeking out a coaching change. And then I actually had a chance to interact with her quite a bit at SoCal last year. And it was actually kind of funny because we definitely butt heads a little bit. And when she was looking
even at that event, you were coaching Justin, and just
I
in
was
your
coaching
interaction with her,
Justin.
you felt some tension.
Well, no, I was coaching Justin, but the team had asked if I would just help him out. Just having had some team experience in the past. There's no
Hmm.
official coach for that for the team, but
Right.
it's like, hey, can you
Some
help out
team
with this?
experience, you mean 10 years at the games?
Yeah, that stuff. So yeah, basically, so there was a little bit of history there, and then when she found herself in a spot where she was like, "Hey, I'm looking for a new coach," Cooper and Jesse and myself and her just got on a call, and we're just like, "Hey, you know, what are you looking for?" And the interesting thing about that is, um, Jesse is like, I look at Jesse. Jesse's her lead coach, and Jesse has an amazing skill set to take an athlete and help them get stronger. And it turns out that Jesse's biggest strength as a coach happens to be Danielle's biggest need, you know? And so that fit is actually like very natural. And so after we got on a call, we're like, okay, well, we got like 3 weeks. If you're needing somebody just to be there at the games, we're not changing up your programming very much. There's not a lot of that we're going to move the needle on in fitness, but we're willing to help and just kind of give it a test run and see how it goes. And so that's what we did. And we had some great conversations. We addressed some of the her and I butting heads at SoCal last year. And actually like it really had a really good understanding of like, hey, what happened. And it was on the worm event, and the North American team dropped the worm. And I said something to her after, and she was like, "Hey, if one more person tells me it was my effing fault, you know, I don't know, she just kind of like she got angry about that. And I realized like, hey, I just kind of like I needed to give her a little bit more time and space because she's a super passionate athlete.
Hmm.
And I just needed to give her a little bit of time and space to breathe and kind of cope with that experience out there. And then we can have a conversation about it. And just understanding that and learning a little bit more about her was like, okay, yeah, let's see what happens at the games. And to be honest, the games went very well. Like, she was obviously fit, and that was really the work that Elle and the Brute team had put into her. And then we were just there to, get her across the finish line and be in a support role at the games. And specifically, Jesse, he and I love to work together in the back with multiple athletes. And so, the only person we had going to the games was Justin. And so to have another athlete there that we could, serve and hopefully help in that competition atmosphere was something that we were both really motivated to do.
It doesn't seem that conflict is foreign to Danielle. So
Hmm.
also maybe there's this component that what for other people is level 10 for her is only level 5. Do you know what I mean? Like there's some people who just like fuck you is like fuck you, but it's not like hey, it's not like that big of a deal. Do you know what I mean? Like there's some people who just have a higher threshold for intense exchanges.
Yeah, there's that, but there's also like I don't know, there's like just a mutual level of respect there. Like there's no bad blood, and I don't feel like I don't have any like bad blood against anybody. Um, if I've had any sort of conflict, I mean, I don't hold grudges or hold that against people or anything like that. I just like see people for who they are and generally wants what's best. And yeah, for her, um, I looked at like Jesse's ability to help people get stronger and her biggest need. I think that's like a pretty awesome fit.
Yep.
And we didn't go into the games really with an agenda to see like, hey, are we going to keep doing this? But the games went really well. Actually, one of the coolest things that happened after the games that Danielle said was like, hey, that's the best I've ever done. She got fourth, which she's gotten fourth one other time. I think
She
it was
got
20.
fourth with only doing 9 events basically, which is
Yeah,
crazy. It's
yeah, that
crazy that she finished fourth and only did 9 events. I'm giving her like the squat was just like,
yeah, yeah. I mean, she obviously still did it. She just got what she
but
she
but
got
you
what
know
she
what I
got on
mean?
that
Like
workout.
she
Yeah,
took a
she got
like
no points.
yeah,
Yeah.
she got no point. I mean, it's fucking nuts. It's
Yeah,
nuts.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, that's the thing. You just see like what an incredible athlete she is. But she's like, hey, I did the best I've ever done, and I had the most fun I've ever had at the games. And those two things combined, you're like, dude, that's so awesome to hear. Because there was, you know, we've seen the Danielle that gets frustrated out on the floor and yells at her judge, or we've seen the Danielle that like something doesn't go her way and things start to unravel and she ends up underperforming because of that. And that never happened at the games. I mean, like she had a really tough event in the pegboard. She was expecting to do well at the pegboard event. She dropped from like almost the top on her third rep on the pegboard. Like she did two pegboards and then she failed her third one. And she didn't give up. Like she didn't give up. She kept working. I felt like if there was a moment where things were going to unravel and the wheels were going to come off, that was going to be it.
Yeah.
And the fact that she was able to like take a couple deep breaths, focus on like what she could control and continue to do her best. And she didn't win that event, but for the situation she was in, she got as many points as she could at the time. And I was like, man, that was awesome. That was really cool to see. And that was a moment for me that I was just really impressed.
Adam's a real one through and through. Grateful to know him, Sabrina.
Thanks.
Looks like she's in the picture with a bear.
Stud.
You ever had a bear come into your gym?
No.
But you have bears in your hood, right?
Not really. Not really. We're pretty tame. Maybe get outside a little bit, but no.
There's never one that rolls into the city? No.
Nah, man, we're a city. But yeah, so then for Danielle though, she's dude, she finished the games. Then, we went to World Fitness Project. She didn't do very well at World Fitness Project. Event or tour stop two. The one down in Mesa. But
but that was probably pretty comforting for her. A lot of people didn't do well. You know what I mean?
I
And
don't know.
misery kind of loves company. You know what I mean? Like when you see Jason win the games and then go there and do what he did also, it's kind of like.
Yeah. I mean, there's part of that, but there's also a lot of people that did well. Obviously, there's people that performed higher than her. But I actually appreciated a couple things about it. Like she after the running event, she was like middle of the pack. And
yeah,
it didn't go super well. And she was kind of frustrated coming off the floor. And then like 10 minutes later, 15 minutes later, she's like, well, I got what I deserved.
Oh.
like she was after coming off the game, she wasn't like, not that she didn't train hard. She definitely did train hard, but it wasn't like she wasn't putting the same, just didn't mean as much to her. That World Fitness Project stop too. Like it didn't mean as much to her as going out and doing well at the games did. And so
I think
when she said,
Jason described it pretty well, right? He was like, you take it seriously, you want to win, but when you're at the games, it's like your whole life comes to that moment because it's everything you've been training for.
yeah, 100%. But even more than that, like in the few weeks between there, like, the level of emphasis that training has maybe just wasn't as high. It's like maybe you're not doing all the little things that you need to do to be as successful as possible, just because it's like it's not as high of a priority in your life at that time. And so yeah, after the running event, she's like, I got what I deserved. And I'm like, well, what do you mean by that? She's like, yeah, I just didn't work. I just didn't put in the work doing the little things in these last few weeks to expect a better outcome.
That's the second time I've heard a story about her. I'm trying to remember. I think there was another year at the games. I remember her blaming herself, saying she just didn't train hard enough, which is always a good sign, right? When an athlete's taking accountability,
man, some accountability,
instead of blaming.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and so I appreciated that, and there was just like an honesty, and then just kind of like seeing where her mindset is going to the next event. It's like, like big picture, like maybe this isn't the place on this planet that I want to be most of all, more than anything else right now, is competing in this event right now, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
What do you think is the most important element in a coach and athlete's relationship? And I can narrow that down for you if you want, but I'd like to leave it broad and see what you come up with.
Yeah. So we talked about this, the very first call with Danielle. We talked about, hey, what do you see as that? And in my opinion, it's trust. Both directions. And we talked about, hey, we don't have the luxury of time to build or develop that trust. So we just have to like be very upfront, very transparent, very honest with one another, and make the most of the situation we're in. And I feel like we're accomplishing that. It's tough. It's different than any other athlete I've ever worked with, because I don't really love remote coaching. Every other athlete we've been able to spend a lot of in-person time, and I think that's the best thing possible. But she just found herself in a unique situation, and um, that trust is something that is takes time to develop, and we're working on that.
I'm going to give you my 50, and this probably be a little uncomfortable. I'm going to give you my 50-cent psychoanalysis on Danielle. That
Cool.
since she's been young, there have been trust issues in her life, so she's pretty guarded. And in that, at some point, as we develop as human beings, not only instead of overcoming that, you're kind of looking to relive that same thing over and over again, right? So like someone like me, I have a super high threshold for someone breaking my trust because I don't hold people to. I kind of let people be who they be and decide where they want our relationship to be. Do you know what I mean? So if you're
Yeah.
someone who's always
Yep.
lying, I could still be your best friend, but I just know like, hey, I bet I need to fact check everything you say. You tell me you're gonna meet me somewhere at 3, like I call you at 2:50. Are you
Yep.
still gonna be there? Do you know what I mean? Like I just start knowing who you are. But I
Is
think
that why? Is that why you texted me like 15 minutes before this morning?
no, it's because we're a professional podcast. We're pretending, we're masquerading. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, there is I think from what I've just seen from the outside that there's this cycle of building close relationships with people totally from the outside. I don't know her at all. And then um uh it's almost like she's going to set people up to fail because she wants to keep reliving that experience instead of just be at some point being like, "Hey, no one's perfect, man." Like, you know what I mean? Like people are going to let me down. It's okay. I'm going to let people down. And so when I see her come to someone like you, I'm like, at some point, are we going to see the cycle over again? Where there becomes and she'll keep upping the ante until there's a breakup because she's looking to relive this thing that happened to her when she was a child. Do you get what I'm
Mm.
saying? So I think she's a really great person and everything, but at some point she wants to live this experience that she had when she's little, and she'll push someone to that point to where there's that cataclysmic thing again where someone can't live up to what she wants from them, and she'll keep pushing that so that she can live that breakup and kind of live that pain again instead of just being like, yo, not everyone, like letting it go. And so when I saw her go to you, I'm like, oh shit, how the fuck is she gonna do that with Adam Neiffer?
We'll see, man. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not. I'm definitely far from a psychologist. Um, but yeah, so far, like when we first started working together, there was a lot of there's a lot of warnings. A lot of people that are just like, "Oh man, this is gonna happen," or "What about this?" or "She is that," or whatever, right? And Justin and
By
I
the
have a
way,
lot of
I don't think it's any reason not to do it. By the way, I don't think
yeah,
if you like that in itself is should be a challenge. Everyone should want the biggest challenge of their life, and I think you have an amazing challenge ahead of you with endless potential.
and that's exactly how I see it too. It's like, and if there's a guaranteed outcome, like shoot, it wouldn't be fun anyway, right? Like,
Right.
but also we see like, hey man, this individual has an amazing potential, and if we can be a part of like helping her and developing her, and I want to see her. She's been a great athlete for a long time. I want to see her have the best couple years of her career. And I think that we obviously see the potential for her to do that, and that challenge of like helping her get across the finish line and be a CrossFit Games podium athlete, like that's super exciting to me. And it doesn't like, her past, however you describe like some of the conflict that she's had or trust issues or whatever it's called. It's like, it doesn't bother me at all. Like I just see where she's at right now. It's kind of like, when you ever talk to like a new CrossFit coach that has a little bit of like imposter syndrome
Yeah.
of like,
Yeah.
hey, I don't
I'm
know
a, I'm
every.
a, I'm a podcaster with imposter syndrome.
Yeah, and they always describe it the same way. They're like, "Man, I don't think I know enough to be able to coach," and you're like, "Hey, you've been to the level 1. You know a lot, right? And you've been doing this stuff for years. And you don't have to know everything. You have to know enough to meet this person where they're at and
Mm-hmm.
be able to provide some sort of positive value in their life."
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I feel with Danielle. It's like, all right, like I don't know what the future holds or what I don't really care about what the past looks like.
Mm-hmm.
This coach to athlete relationship that we're embarking on is just like, hey, let's take it one step at a time, do the very best job that we can, and produce the best result that we can. And at the end of the day, that's my job. And yeah, I'm excited for her. I'm excited for her. Working with her. It's obviously it's been different than lots of other athletes, but it's been great. Every time that we've been at a competition in person together, which is only twice so far,
Mm-hmm.
um, I have really, really enjoyed that process. I've learned a lot from her. She's been great. So yeah, I'm
Yeah.
excited.
Anything jump out at you when you say you've learned something from her? Anything jump out at you?
She operates because so all the athletes that I've coached have really come up through, I guess for lack of a better word, like come up through our system. So
Mm-hmm.
we do things a similar way.
Mm-hmm.
For Danielle, that's it's different. Some of the things that have worked well for other athletes, just in terms of like the preparation, the warm up area, that type of thing. Some of the things that have worked out well for other athletes are different for Danielle. And for her, a lot of times less is more, and like not overthinking things, but just giving her like really big, broad, general concepts, and just allowing her to just go out there and be herself. Whereas other athletes want to be maybe more detailed in their approach and more thoughtful. For
Mm-hmm.
her, being a little bit freer out there, but understanding like you know big picture, how are we going to accomplish the task is yeah, it's just a little bit different than all of the other athletes I've worked with. Not bad,
Right.
just different. So just learning her, I would say what I've learned most is just learning what for her helps her click and helps her be motivated as an individual to get out on the competition floor and just be who she is, which is just a savage and a killer.
She is that. How about the other athletes? Um, Justin, Ellie, Trista, Mr. McAdams. Any did they have any pushback? Did they have any concern? Like, hey, my coach's time is going to be taken away, or there might be some chaos brought to the camp.
Yeah, for sure. And it's not a camp in the sense that we're all in the same place. So, you know, that part's not a concern. Yeah, but 100%, like those are conversations that like these guys are such an integral part of our team that before we took on saying yes to coaching with Danielle, like, hey, I want to hear your input, Justin. And there's obviously a little bit of maybe trepidation and like you said, hey, what is this going to do? How is this going to affect the team dynamic and how is it going to affect Justin specifically? Yeah, and we talked through that stuff. But at the end of the day, it was like, hey, um, specifically at the games, Danielle being part of the team is actually, it can only help Justin. The way I see it is like, and vice versa. If we're working together and Justin learns something, on the floor that can help her, or the girls go first and
Mm,
she learns something,
mm,
like
mm,
that immediate feedback right after a competition event um, can not always, it depends on the event, but it can sometimes be very valuable. And you saw that from Matt and Tia, that last
mm-hmm.
year that they were together. And you see that from some of the other camps that have multiple athletes being able to share knowledge.
Especially events like the pegboard, right? When it's like everyone's trying to figure out, okay, why are we slipping? Do you need to wipe your shoes? Do you need to what do you
Yeah,
need to do?
exactly. Stuff like that. Yeah, it can be valuable. So yeah, it was a conversation. Maybe it was a concern, but it was definitely something that is like, yeah, easy to move past.
Um, when Justin moved to Idaho, my feeling that I got from you, I don't think you said it as explicitly, is that you didn't like it. And now when I hear you talk about it, you couch it in the terms of it was good for him because he needed more fulfillment in other areas in his life in order to get back to where he is now, back on what, let's say he's back on the horse now. Um, how do you feel about that? Like on do you still crave for Justin to come like almost like a parent to come home? Is any part of you like, come on, no?
No, no, not
And if I
no. Just be
mischaracterize you, I'm sorry, but you almost seem like a parent who was like, oh my, when I had talked to you, my kid's leaving,
Yeah,
like you
yeah,
were
dude.
processing it.
Yeah, I think that's accurate. Yeah, that's definitely accurate because I mean we spent so much time together when he was here. He lived with me for a couple of years, and so we got to talk about training around the dinner table, and every day, and so that was awesome. But it also like I don't know. You haven't had any kids go to college yet, but a couple of gym members
No,
this year,
I'm dreading. I don't even let them out of my sight, dude.
dude. A few of my like
I couldn't even let
the,
my kids go to school.
my friends that are at the gym. In fact, like probably the biggest tough guy, like you can imagine him, like the biggest, strongest, tough guy in the gym. His
Yeah.
daughter went off to college this year, and he came back into the gym on Monday after dropping her off, and it was just like he just needed a hug, man. And
Yeah. Yeah.
th-
I
this
can't
is the
even
type of guy that
imagine.
like if this is the type of guy that if somebody cuts him off in traffic and flips him off or something, they're on the side of the road and he's not losing.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? And so like, yeah, I think there's, when Justin moved, there was definitely a big part of me that's just like, I just
Oh, is that me? Who went? So,
anyway,
either
yeah.
me. Go ahead.
No, I
So, so
I
when he
think it
went,
was
when he
me.
left, there was, you said
Yeah.
there was a part of you that.
Yeah, I just miss him because I got to hang out with him every day and see his training and be just so present at every single part of his life. And so, when he moved to Boise, it's like I didn't get that every day, and I missed that part of that part of our relationship. But that's just like the parallel is when you're raising kids, you spend your whole life, you know, teaching and developing them to be able to live independently and not need you. And then when they don't need you, you're like, oh man, I'm gonna miss that.
Right.
And not to say it's not the same, obviously, for Justin, but when he moved to Boise, it's like, man, that's the best thing for him. He's spreading his wings, he's flying, he's going out in the world, and he's doing cool stuff. And I'm just like so happy, and I love to see it. And it's cool to see where he's at now on the other side of that. And yeah, he is really happy, and he's still the same person in terms of like, he wants to win the CrossFit Games. He wants to be, uh, the best athlete he can possibly be. But he also has some other things in his life that contribute to the happiness and fulfillment that I think are important.
Did you take it as a comp when they reached out to you and said, would you coach Danielle? Were you flattered?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And when you say me, I look at that as Jesse and I together. It wasn't
Sorry.
that.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, but both of us were like, we to be honest, Jesse took lead on it. Like at first, I was like, I was probably in the same boat that you described. Of like, hey, is this something that's like, can we help her? Is it good for our team? All those things, just being like a little thoughtful. And Jesse was like from the get go really motivated. Like, hey, let's do this. And I'm like, hey man, like 100%, I got your back, and I'm all in. Let's go. So yeah, that's kind of how that started. But
Did
yeah,
you? Were you open? Are you open to taking more athletes if someone else wanted to come to you?
that's a good question.
Well, show's over. I got one. That was a good question. We did it.
Is that what
That's always my
we
goal.
got there?
Show's over.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man. I struggle with that. There's actually a teen athlete that reached out, and like I want to help everybody, but I also it's one of those things where like I have to be intentional about the people that we are working with. I for to take on another athlete, remotely like Danielle or something like Justin, that'd be pretty tough. I don't think it'd be in the best interest of that athlete or us. If there's a person that's in my gym that I get to see all the time, yeah, like that's a no-brainer for sure.
So if someone
Um,
wanted you to be their coach, their best thing to do is move to CrossFit Vancouver, or to move to Vancouver, Washington, and then slowly just force you to do it, manipulate you to do it.
yeah, they just show up, dude. Just show up and start taking classes, and yeah, that'd be inevitable for sure.
Um, uh, uh, how's Adam's leg? Cactus still in the leg? You got a cactus in your leg? Did I know about that?
We talked about that a while back, but yeah, everything's awesome.
Was that
Thank
in
you.
the endurance run you did?
Yeah, yep.
What is your greatest achievement, athletic like achievement? What is your greatest for you? What is the thing you're most proud of? Like, holy shit, I did that.
Dang.
Did you ever qualify for the games as an individual back in the day? Oh, did you ever go? Did you compete in '07?
Nope, I was fighting fire. I was following it, and that was actually part of the reason that I left fire. Is I just loved it. But 2007, 2008, you could just go. I was working, so I wasn't able to. Um, But I don't know, man. I'm not the right person to answer I hate avoiding questions, but I don't know what my best athletic achievement is. I've worked pretty hard to do anything that I have achieved athletically. I wouldn't consider myself like a super like a great athlete by any stretch or a really natural athlete, but I feel like anything I did accomplish, I worked pretty hard at it. And
What's the
yeah,
best your team ever did at the games?
we won the games in 2010, and then
Wow.
yeah, we had a few top fives, and then we were back on the podium not again until 2017. Um,
Wow.
so yeah,
And
there's a
that was during the Froning era as a team member?
yeah, man. In 2017, actually, that was a fun year. Adrian Conway and his Wasatch Brute team won. That was the one time that Rich got beat. They were
Yeah.
second, and then we were third. And to be honest, like first and second, we weren't within striking distance to beat them in the last event. But third through eighth, pretty much could have gone to anybody. There was a lot of back and forth, and so to be on the front of that curve and be third was like that was fun. That was a big accomplishment for sure. Something that we got to share.
Is the plan to coach Danielle all the way through the 2026 season?
Yeah, that's the plan. That's
That
the
is the
plan.
plan.
Hmm.
All right. Anything you do you sell coaching?
We don't know. I mean, I got an affiliate. Yeah, that's it.
Right.
That's
But I
it.
mean, do you
So
have an online program?
no, it's not something we have right now. We've definitely talked about doing some of that stuff. And I think there will be a season where we do that. I mean, I'm biased. I think like our CrossFit for Vancouver affiliate programming is like is really great. So we've talked about sharing that at some point in the future, and there'll be a season for that. But yeah, not right now.
All right. Anything you want to add?
Man, thanks for having me on this morning. I always enjoy that conversation.
Yeah, I really appreciate
So
you coming on. I always enjoy it too. It's easy. So I'm not at home, obviously you can tell. And I always tell Susan's like, "What guest do you want on?" I'm like, "Dude, easy, just fucking easy people. No teeth pulling, please." Because I got kids making breakfast around me and grandparents around, and I just make it someone easy. And
yeah, heck yeah.
We're like Adam Neiffer.
Dude, well, I
So I
appreciate that,
appreciate
man.
you. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
dude.
so
Hey,
easy.
and I appreciate what, yeah, you guys. Yeah, just I mean, spreading the love of CrossFit, man. We got a mission. We got some work to do to, to keep sharing it with more people.
Oh,
So
let me ask you one more thing.
yeah.
In your link tree, you have this thing called the 3 circles video.
Hmm. Yeah.
How long have you had that in your link tree? Do you know?
Probably forever. Yeah, I don't remember. A long time. Have you watched it?
I did. I watched it last night.
Nice. It's only 3 minutes.
Yeah, it's quick. It's quick, and it's a nice edit because it jumps from all these different people who are teaching the 3 circles.
Yeah.
Which is cool because you see some little kids teaching it.
It's cool.
Yeah, which is a trip.
Yep.
Would that be something you would ever bring up with your athletes?
For sure. Yeah, yeah, 100%. And I have brought it up. I've had those have brought that specific video or that conversation up with a lot of them. Yeah.
You have, and how do they respond?
It depends. I think everybody's like in a little different spot.
Yeah.
With my faith is something that's like really important to me, but I've always tried to be really careful about how I share that.
Hmm.
Because I never want it to feel like it's being pushed on people or like if they're not down with Jesus or believe the same things that I do, I never want them to feel like they're some way not included or not or just judged in a different way or something like that. And so yeah, I think most of the people in my life or most of the athletes that I coach are somewhere on the journey of like seeking some sort of spiritual relationship with Jesus, or maybe they're already down and they're preaching the gospel, or somewhere in between. If not, maybe just curious. And so those conversations have always been yeah, a lot of fun.
Yeah, you
A lot
enjoy
of
them.
fun. Yeah, yeah, I do. Actually, one of the you asked me what was my biggest athletic accomplishment. I had one of the like pinnacle moments of my life was it was not yesterday, the day before yesterday, Sunday. I have this kid that he's not a kid anymore, but he grew up just down the street from me, and uh, are you familiar with cystic fibrosis at all?
I know it's something you don't want.
It's something you don't want. It's basically like a lung type of disease where when we were kids, like
Oh yeah,
if
your
you,
lungs slowly fill with water and you suffocate and die, right?
yeah, and when we were growing up, like if you had CF, like you weren't making it to 30. You were lucky to make it to 20, 25. Like there was not a cure for it. And so this guy, he lived down the street from me, and he was like in high school, we'd always play basketball together and hang out, and he was always sick, in and out of the hospital, this, that, the other thing. And then I don't know how long it's been. It's probably been close to a decade now. He got some sort of medication treatment where he's like good to go, and started doing CrossFit, started working out. He's run a marathon.
Wow.
Um, yeah, super cool, amazing story. Anyway, early this summer, he's like, "Hey, Adam, I get chills kind of talking about it, but he's like, "Hey, Adam, I want to get baptized this summer. I want it to be this summer. I want it to be at this place called Indian Beach, and I want you to do it." And I was,
Wow.
yeah, and I was like, "Dang, I don't." My first reaction was like, I don't feel qualified. Like I ain't a pastor. Like I'll find somebody." But then I actually talked about it with a couple friends of mine that are pastors, and prayed about it, read about it, and it was like, no, he's asking me to do this. I got to do it. And so we went out to the Oregon coast where he likes to surf, and baptized him on Sunday. Him and
Wow.
yeah, yeah, it was one of the coolest things. It was yeah, it was special.
That's
So
interesting because earlier you were saying about imposter syndrome, and like you were saying about how like you talk to people and you're like, man, you've been doing this a long time. You've taken your level one, just get out there and do it. And so you kind of had your own moment. You've had faith for a long time. You
yeah,
built a relationship with Jesus, and then you were called to baptize, and you did
that's
it.
it, man. And I told
Yeah.
him, I was like, man, thank you. Like that. I know that this baptism was for you, but it really, like, I really grew through that process too. It affected me, or impacted me, probably as much as him. And so I'm
Yeah,
pretty
I can
thankful for
imagine.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, how old were you? Were you baptized later in life?
Nope. I was young. I was really young. Like too young to remember. 8 days.
So have you been walking with faith your whole life?
Yeah, I would say yes. But I'll also say that there was an extended period of time where I just wasn't real active, or yeah, not I never like turned my back on my faith, or like was rebelling against it or anything like that. I just wasn't really yeah, I wasn't really in relationship with God for a chunk of time, like around college. Yeah, maybe a little bit during and after. And then yeah, just realized, and honestly, probably around the same time I started doing CrossFit, to be honest. Realized I needed more in my life. Yeah, and that was also the time, like, I stopped. I had my last drink of alcohol December 31st, 2007.
Wow.
Um, yeah, which was the time that, like, and it was when I was really starting to get into CrossFit, and not get into it. I'd been doing it for a couple years, but I was like, now I want to get better at it. And I, like, yeah, woke up the next day of not remembering what happened the night before, and was just like, dude, like, what am I doing? Like, I'm working hard trying to get fitter and do CrossFit every day, and then I'm just completely self-sabotaging myself. And it's just like, I'm not even being honest with myself. Like, who am I? What am I up to? And I didn't say I'd never drink again. I was just like, hey, I gotta like put it on pause. And I think that was just a yeah, pivotal time in my life. Started doing CrossFit, started working out hard. Got I shouldn't say started in CrossFit, started taking it more seriously, where I wanted to compete. And then yeah, stopped drinking. Faith became a big part of my life again. A couple years later, met my wife. Like, yeah, just a big time in my life.
Good shit started happening.
Yeah, yeah, a lot of good things. 100%. Yep.
And when you do you see, I don't know how to ask this question, what the right word is. Do you see your faith in your everyday life? Do you see God working in your everyday life? Is it like something like you're like, oh wow, that happened perfectly, or
Yeah.
is that how you see it, or I hear some people saying that they commune and talk with God, um, but for me it's more like events. It's like how things are like unfold. Like
Yeah,
the
yeah, so
cogs are always coming together and aligning when I'm aligned.
yeah, that's a good way to describe it. Yeah. Yeah, I think that for me, I just feel like God's got my back no matter what. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like everything's gonna be okay. Like no matter what situation I happen to be in, like it's all good. Like
Yeah.
there's a freedom that comes with that. Um, that just for me allows me not to like get caught up in the little things or the insignificant things and have a little bit more like I guess maybe you call it like an eternal view, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I liked what you said, the freedom.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So dude,
Uh,
thanks for asking. That's cool.
goal for 2026, baptize Danielle. All right.
There we go.
All right.
I love it. I love it.
Love you, buddy. Thank you so much for coming on.
Dude,
Talk to you
thanks,
soon.
Devon. Yeah.
All right.
Catch
Ciao.
you, man. Bye.
Adam Neiffer, put him on the Mount Rushmore of CrossFit. You got to. You got to. You got to. You got to. Yesterday, really quick before I go, there's a guy on the internet named Nick Fuentes. I saw a couple short, I don't know if they were reels or YouTube videos, but they were like 2 or 3 minutes long. And thank you, Seth. Thank you. Thank you. I saw a couple of his reels, and then yesterday, I guess he has a show on Rumble. And yesterday I listened to his show for the first time, and he built this whole analysis up of how people's mindsets work. And it was pretty ironic. He was saying that people get all their news from like TikTok and Instagram and reels and podcasts, and that builds their opinions. And he was talking about Charlie Kirk and about how he read a letter that Charlie Kirk wrote to Netanyahu. And Charlie Kirk was telling Netanyahu, like, hey, man, if you're going to fight the image of Israel, you better fucking double down on your social media presence to get the narrative back, because the narrative is being swayed by a bunch of young people and the 1.5 billion Muslims that are on the planet, who have a ton of them have a deep hatred for the 12 million Jews that live on the planet. It's the numbers are staggering, and it's trippy to see this wave of Islam sweep over the West. It's kind of batshit crazy. No matter how many conspiracy theories you have or how many roads you think to, all roads leading to the problems in the world are with Israel. It seems that people forget that they're holding down the only hope for Western civilization on that side of the planet. They have electricity and clean drinking water, and they don't throw homosexuals from fucking rooftops. And we have this cohort of fucking people in this country who think it's okay to have Muslim prayer being blasted 5 times a day over loudspeakers in cities in Minnesota, and to have the Muslim mayor of Dearborn, Michigan, tell a Christian pastor he'll throw a parade when he moves out of his town because the pastor didn't want one of the streets named after a Hezbollah leader. Very gently. I mean, it's fucking, what we're witnessing is fucking crazy. But what's interesting is Fuentes, in this video, he was basically saying, in the first 5 minutes that I listened to him, he was basically accusing all of these people of being propagandists for Israel. And using his logic back on him, I wrote in the comments, and the comments are just flying by. No one can even read the comments. But I wrote in the comments, hey, using your own logic of how you accuse people of being propagandists for Israel, you sound like a propagandist for Iran. And then the next thing I wrote was, that's what I wrote. I wrote that in the comments. And the next thing that I wrote was, hey, have you ever considered moving to Iran? And I got this note, you've been muted by the moderator. So this is a guy who was kicked off of YouTube for censorship. Then last week, he tried to get back on YouTube and whined like a little bitch that he got kicked off again. And then I made one fucking comment and his team muted me. And do you know what's not muted in there? There's hundreds of comments saying, kill Jews, fuck niggers, death to Israel, and they're not muted. And I made one fucking comment. This is on his Rumble. This is on his Rumble. This is on his Rumble. And you can go fuck yourself, Clock. You can go fuck yourself. All right. Love you guys. Talk to you soon. Headed off to the beach. Have a great day. Bye-bye.